In this episode, you'll discover why it's important to avoid making hiring mistakes. I'll share 6 common mistakes business owners make regularly, and I'll explain how you can avoid them. Ready to tune up your hiring machine? Let's get into it.
Welcome to Why Business Teams Fail and How to Avoid It, a show helping small business owners build a radically engaged team that can run the business without you, so you can remove the stress from owning a business and enjoy the freedom you deserve. Now, here's your host, Rich Allen.
Today you'll learn that making mistakes in hiring can cost you not only in time and money, but the respect of your team members, that most business owners underestimate the effort and focus that's required to find great team members. And while hiring is difficult and challenging in today's economy, with the right approach, you can still find great talent. Here's my question for you this week. How robust is your current hiring process? Let's face it, many business owners have found themselves living through some of the most challenging times possible when it comes to recruiting, hiring, and retaining top talent. For the past 4 years, since the beginning of the pandemic, employers of all kinds, shapes, and sizes have been struggling with hiring and retaining their best people. As the pandemic hit in 2020, a new phenomenon, WFH, work from home, became all the rage, and business leaders had to redesign their workflows and their work expectations to accommodate large numbers of employees working remotely. Because remote work was now widely available across the country, employees began quitting in record numbers in search of opportunities that would otherwise be out of the question due to where they lived. But it no longer mattered. They could work for someone in Chicago but live in Colorado, a dream come true for many team members. Team members resigning to work remotely became so common that they coined a new term, the Great Resignation. And this continued through 2021 and into 2022. Then, with many team members working remotely and not being tightly connected to their coworkers, many stopped working hard as they did when they were in the office, but they stayed on the payroll. 2023 ushered in a new challenge called quiet quitting, meaning many employees effectively quit working but didn't resign. They just milked the system. Then, heading into 2024, with the pandemic a couple of years in the rearview mirror, many companies began requiring employees to return to the office. This change was not welcomed by many, but was seen as necessary to regain the culture and effectiveness of working together and building strong teams. Which brings us to 2025 and a new era of resignations, which has been compared to the Great Resignation 2.0. I heard it referred to as Exodus 2025. A recent survey suggests that 56% of full-time employees want to find a new job in 2025, and 27% of employees have already started looking and are sending out resumes and actively interviewing. Yikes. As a business owner, this has to be concerning. Imagine having over half of your current work team thinking about leaving this year. We'll have to see how significant it becomes, but I think we can all agree that these past 4 or 5 years have been a nightmare for business owners trying to recruit, hire, and retain great team members. That's why now's a perfect time to refine your recruiting and hiring process to be prepared if and when you need to replace that next team member or 2 or 3. I want to share with you 6 specific mistakes I see business owners routinely making when they find themselves in hiring mode. Here's mistake number 1. Writing a vague, misleading, or uninspiring job posting. This is perhaps the most common and most pervasive problem I see when it comes to the hiring process. Most job postings are anything but interesting and intriguing. They're written with the idea of limiting the number of people who might qualify for the open position. To be honest, I simply don't understand why a business owner would treat their job posting as anything different from their product or service marketing message. You wouldn't run an ad with your restrictions and fine print limitations as the main messages to your prospective customers. So why would you run an ad for your next team member with your restrictions and limitations as the main messages of your job posting? Your job posting should be written as your best marketing message, promoting your culture, your unique work environment, your future growth opportunities, and highlighting what's possible for the person who's lucky enough to join your team. Is that how your job postings are written? If not, it's an easy fix and one that will catch the eye of many more top talented prospects. Here's mistake number 2. Making your initial search criteria too narrow. This mistake's closely related to mistake number 1, but this is more of a mindset problem. I realize that no one likes to spend their time screening through stacks and stacks of resumes, and with the technology platforms like Indeed, Monster, and Better Teams, you don't have to. So rather than start with a narrow search criteria, there's no harm. In fact, there's an advantage to start with a wide or broad search criteria. Here's a practical example. Rather than require a specific degree for a position, why not entertain candidates who have more practical experience? Rather than having a formal degree, the candidates may not have any relevant practical experience. Or here's another. Rather than requiring that someone have direct experience in your industry, why not entertain candidates who have unrelated but perhaps even better experience in a totally different field or industry? I'm shocked at how often a business owner will reject someone for not having direct relatable experience, yet they're a far better candidate than the person who's bounced around in the industry because they lack other skills. Is your initial screening criteria too narrow and limiting your consideration of perhaps the best candidates? Here's mistake number 3. Not utilizing video platforms and group interview techniques. I believe this may be the biggest missed opportunity for many business owners. I'm sure that you do use video technology for your interviewing process, or at least I hope you do. I find it to be a great way to get some insight into a candidate without having them even being aware of it. When someone's asked to participate in a video interview, it's an opportunity to see how they show up on camera. Do they dress as if they're meeting in person? Are they aware of their background and do they show up as professional? Do they get how to position the camera and make sure the lighting's correct? These unspoken details will tell you a lot about the kind of person they are. Are they buttoned up, casual, detailed-minded, unaware, whatever? And here's a little-used opportunity when using video technology in your hiring process. Because multiple people can be on a video at one time, you can have multiple candidates show up at the same time, giving you a fast, simple way to do a comparison of one to the other without them even realizing it. I often do a video information session where we invite all interested candidates to meet the hiring manager and ask them whatever questions they have about the position, the responsibilities, the company culture, the benefits, whatever they want to ask. The result is that rather than doing multiple one-on-one interviews, we can identify the candidates that we're truly interested in a matter of minutes. Are you using video and group interview techniques to improve your hiring process? Here's mistake number 4. Not involving your team in the hiring process. This is a mistake that I find it difficult to wrap my head around. Way too many business owners think they're the best judge of character and want to control the hiring process themselves. Meanwhile, your team members are the ones who are going to have to live with any hiring decision. So why not involve them in the process? I've had clients who invite everyone on their team to be a part of the hiring process. If they participate, they get a vote on the decision to hire or not. As a result, most all of them are actively involved. And when they are involved in the hiring process, they feel invested in making the new team member successful. It's truly a win-win situation. If you're not including your team members in your hiring process, you really should. The more you allow them to participate, the more they'll help you make sure you avoid hiring the wrong person. It turns out their judgment may be better than yours. Seriously. Give this one a try if you haven't yet. Here's mistake number 5. Not doing background research. Notice that I didn't say not doing a background check. I specifically said not doing background research. A typical background check is not likely to result in anything that'll help much. Sure, it'll help you avoid hiring an ex-felon, but aside from that, it's not that helpful. But most everyone has a social profile online. If you're not checking their Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn accounts, just to name a few, you're missing some important background insight. If you're hiring a salesperson, you should absolutely check how many connections they have on LinkedIn. If they don't have many, they aren't much of a salesperson. If you're hiring a customer service rep, you certainly want to know how they show up on social media and how they respond to friends and others who have opinions online. Even if they don't have a social profile, you can find people who worked for their past companies, look them up online, and reach out to them for their thoughts and opinions. I've used this process to find out things that the candidates would never disclose, and in a couple of specific instances, it prevented us from hiring the wrong person for the position. Don't dismiss this background research too quickly. And lastly, mistake number 6 is not sharing your expectations for the first 90 days on the job. As you begin to narrow down your potential new hires to the 1 or 2 that you really think will fit on your team, don't forget to do this one last thing. Give your top candidates a specific, detailed list of the expectations you have for them if you choose them for the position. Too many business owners don't think this far in advance, and they make the final hiring decision before really thinking through their first 90-day assignments. But this can be a game changer for both you and your prospective new hire. They will make their final decisions knowing exactly what will be expected of them. I've seen finalists squirm and even back out when they get a clear picture of the expectations. I'd rather get this reaction before they're hired instead of thinking everything's going to go well only to find that the new hire is totally stressed out and ready to quit just days after starting. I'm sure this has happened to you. I know it's happened to several business owners I know personally. Nothing's more frustrating. You do all the hard work only to have to start from the beginning and do it all again. Save yourself the headache and be candid, open, and transparent with your finalists. Their reactions will tell you everything you need to know before making them the final offer. So there you have it. 6 mistakes that you must avoid when you're going through the hiring process. I can promise you, given the number of employees actively looking to change jobs this year, you'll be needing to tune up your hiring process to get ahead of the need. As we wrap up today's podcast, let me leave you with these simple thoughts on how to tune up your hiring process. Number 1, treat your job posting as if it were your most important marketing message. Number 2, use technology to improve your process, both in interviewing and in background research. And number 3, Involve your entire team in the hiring process and leverage their unique insight into who will fit the best. If you'd like some additional support in this area or want to tap into our free resources, simply go to my website, tourtoprofit.com. You'll find everything you need there. Thanks for joining me today. Be sure to tune in next week when we're going to discuss leadership lessons from an incoming president. You won't want to miss it. Now, go make it a great week, and whatever you do, ride hard.
Thank you for listening to Why Business Teams Fail and How to Avoid It. Make sure to like, subscribe, and tell your friends so you don't ever miss an episode. Now go make it a great week, and whatever you do, ride hard.